morning and welcome to the first of two live broadcasts from the University of Aberdeen's BeWell Fair. We have a whole host of exhibitors in the hall today with lots of advice about how to maintain a good health and well-being while at university. So if you've got a gap in your lectures, do pop along and have a look at what's going on. I'm joined this morning by Jacqueline Nicholson, who is mental health advisor for the university, and Natalie Campbell, a third-year student. And we're just going to have a little bit of a chat around mental health. So, Jackie, first of all, can you tell me why is it important for a student to look after their mental and emotional health?
Well, we all have to look after our mental health. When you're starting at university, it's a new experience. Particularly if you're in first year, it's a whole new experience. New people, new flatmates, and of course, studies at a level that you maybe haven't done before. So we all need to take a bit of time to look after our mental health and make sure that we look after each other's as well.
Yeah. Natalie, from your experience, what advice would you give to a student on maintaining their mental health?
So I think my main advice would be making sure that you have a good friend group around you, people that you can go to talk to about any problems or issues that you might be having. Making sure you are eating a good diet, which I know can be very tricky when you're at university, but trying to make sure you're getting some fruits and vegetables because these can really affect your mood and the way that you feel. And also just making sure you're going out and getting some exercise. So whether that is just like walking to classes, walking home, or hitting the gym or joining one of the sports clubs as well.
Yeah. So do you find that it's quite easy to support each other as students?
I think from my personal experience, I find it very helpful to have a good friend group, and they are all very supportive. So being able to go to someone when you're having problems, but also to offer that support to other people as well.
Yeah. Jacqueline, mental health support is becoming increasingly more important. What is the university doing to help support staff and students around their mental health?
So I think first of all there are services that are, if people are facing a crisis in mental health, there's services that can help them to get in contact with the NHS. But apart from that more crisis situation, there are lots of things going on that can help students and staff mental health.
Yeah.
I think just Natalie was just talking there about friendship groups, and I think talking about things, talking to each other, staff and students, about how you're feeling and when you're struggling a bit, being open, not bottling it up, sharing things with people. If you have fallings out, try to step back a bit from that and try to look at things from another person's point of view as well. Sometimes when we're under pressure, it can feel a bit overwhelming. The university has lots of services in the HR side as well as in student support services too. And in student support there's help around financial issues, there's help around all the day-to-day type of events that can really have a negative impact on your mental health.
Yeah.
So the information about them is all available online. If anybody wants to have a look, there's a whole host of resources as well as links to other things that you might find helpful for your well-being, which you'll hear about later.
Yeah, that's great. With the friendship groups that you have, do you use clubs and societies?
Yes, certainly. I find that going to different societies, joining some sports clubs have been really helpful and beneficial for me at university, mainly because it's a way that you can meet people and already know that you have something in common with them. So for instance, I joined the show choir, and that's been a way for me to meet new people, get some good friendships, as well as have fun, enjoy singing and doing a little bit of dancing as well.
And you've talked about some of the services that are available for students and staff. Are there any student-run societies that are available to support students' mental health?
I think all the societies support each other, which is good for your mental health more generally.
Yeah.
I don't think we yet have any specific societies that have mental health as their sort of clear focus.
Yeah.
But certainly I really would encourage if anyone has ideas around that, to think about coming forward. There is support from organisations like Student Minds and other student-led organisations that can help you to set something like that up. So I guess, I would encourage people to come forward with that. Yeah.
What about Nightline? Is that something?
Nightline is an organisation of student support, yes, absolutely. available to help students, particularly overnight.
And that's a student-led.
And that's a national network as well. So that's trained students. That's really important. They're really valuable.
And your role is quite new at the university. So what is your focus as mental health advisor?
I've been here for 2 years now, but my focus has been on, I guess, helping to raise the profile of mental health across the university, trying to ensure that we have sort of the correct resources in place to help students. So wherever they seek help, whether it be the counselling service or student support services, if they need a bit more help with their mental health, they can get linked into that.
Yeah.
We've also a small team at the moment with specialist mentors, and their role is in helping to provide students with longer term support right over the academic year.
Okay.
And that's around removing some of the barriers that students with mental health difficulties and students on the autistic spectrum might experience.
Okay.
So that help is available through student support services if anybody needs it. So that's really been my focus. A bit of training with staff as well around mental health awareness, and just trying to, I guess, keep mental health high on the agenda for us to keep talking about.
Yeah, and there's been some mental health first aid training, I believe, rolled out for some staff at the university, and is that proving to be quite successful?
Yes, I think we're looking at the mental health first aid training because that is changing nationally at the moment, but that is certainly a training resource that's available to staff in the university and to students as well. And it's a good course for helping raise awareness about different types of mental health difficulties and some of the steps that people can take to help. So that's useful. But I would say if people want to talk about lots of different types of training and opportunities, I'm happy to talk about that.
Very good, that's great. Well, thanks very much for your time, and we're hopefully, Natalie, you'll get some time to walk around the hall and have a look and see. You've also been interning at the Student Support Office.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I started off doing a summer internship, which was 10 weeks. Very luckily, it has been extended through as part of the Intern Plus programme.
Okay.
So I will be there until April. In my role there, I have been working with all the different branches of student support, so the Student Advice and Support Office, chaplaincy, counselling, and the SRAs as well, the Student Residence Assistants. And so we've been working on getting some new marketing materials made up, and I have also helped organise a transition event for incoming students that have autism spectrum conditions as well.
Oh, that sounds...
So it was very interesting. It was excellent event as well. It ran over 2 days, and we pretty much just gave a sort of brief introduction into what university life can be like, what the campus is like, and looking at what living in halls might be like for incoming students as well.
That sounds like a really exciting initiative.
It was excellent. We had really positive feedback both from the students as well as from staff, so we're hoping to continue that next year as well. That's
great, and I think it's quite important to have a student perspective within the support services at the university. So do you think the internships give that?
Definitely, I think so. Yeah, it's been valuable for me as a student to see what goes on behind the scenes, and see what the sort of things that staff deal with day to day. So I now have a much better understanding and can then provide my friends and people I know with a better understanding, as well as for staff to get the student perspective, to hear sort of what's going on from our side, because sometimes that isn't always easy to communicate.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you very much. So I think you're on the student support stand.
I will be there for
today.
a little while, so I'm sure people can come find me.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time. So I think we are going to be joined next by Rick Hughes, who is the head of the counselling service at the University of Aberdeen, and Alex, who is the welfare officer at the Students' Association. So while we're waiting for them just to come to the sofa, the BeWell initiative was started this year by the university, and it looks at various aspects of a student's health and well-being, and we have a programme of events that are running throughout the year to support students with these different aspects of their life. This week we have a very focused week of activities. Starting yesterday, we had a mental health day where we offered some yoga for students and staff to avail of. And today is the BeWell Fair, and we're just delighted to have been joined by so many of our stall holders. And I'll tell you a little bit more about what's happening throughout the rest of the week. But thanks, Alex and Rick, for joining me today. So, Rick, you recently wrote a book, The Wellbeing Workout. Can you share a little bit of information about that and some of your top tips for students about how they can look after their daily well-being?
Yeah, it was a really interesting project putting that book together, and I think we've had about 32,000 downloads so far, so somehow it seems to be striking a chord.
That's a lot.
It is a lot.
That's
it was fantastic. A lot more than we
well
thought.
Done.
I think there are probably three things that jump out for me that the book was kind of referring to that I think would be applicable with students. One of them was about work-life balance. Mm-hmm. So we often think of work-life balance in the sort of wider work world, but I think it's very much applicable to the student community as well.
Yeah.
And I think particularly because a lot of undergraduates have come from school and home life, where there's been quite a lot of routine and structure. And so coming to university can be quite different. There's a lot more free time. You're a lot more responsible for the use of your time as well.
Yeah.
So it's about how you manage your time. So work-life balance, I think, really is about attending to the work, the academic work requirements.
Yeah.
And so that's a bit of planning and preparation. It's making sure that you turn up for lectures, you meet with your tutors. But it's also about getting assignments done in time so that you're not leaving everything to the last minute.
Yeah.
We get a lot of people that we see who really do leave things to the last minute. Then they really start to panic.
Yeah.
And I think, I wish I'd started sooner. So we get that a lot. So again, it's about the work-life balance of structuring your academic period so that you do the preparation and you give yourself time for that. But I think importantly as well, it's about having fun as well. It's about having a social life too.
Yeah, Alex, I'm sure that'll resonate with you, having recently graduated and now taking up your role as welfare officer. How do you manage your work-life balance, and what would be your advice to a student?
Right, I haven't graduated yet.
I can help.
I'm a sabbatical officer, and what I did was to take 1 year off my studies and do this work with the student association. And so basically my course is on hold whilst beginning to work for 1 year, after which I'll continue. So back to your question, what I tell my friends and my colleagues is that you take care of yourself. Self-care. One will ask, what is self-care? I say self-care is any activity you do deliberately to take care of your emotions, your mental and your physical health.
Yeah.
These three are key, are so important in an educational institution like ours. And so I tell my friends, do it. And there are key ways, key things you do to take care of yourselves. I have 10, which I'll tell you and our audience as we go on. Yes.
Great. So what other tips would you have for us? We've talked about the work-life balance.
Yeah, I think as Alex was alluding to as well, there's about the self-care side, and I won't steal your thunder, so you've got your list for that. But I think it's about being aware of when things start to build up. So when you start to feel a bit stressed, it's being able to do something about it. But I think it's also about looking after each other. It's a big community, 15,000, 16,000 students here. It's about keeping an eye on your friends, your classmates, because sometimes when you're stressed, you're not actually aware that that's going on for you. But if you start to see somebody else being stressed, then it's really about going up to them and say, look, are you okay? It's checking in with them, if there's something I can do. So if we all look after each other a wee bit more, then I think that kind of helps to sort of open up the conversation about stress and anxiety and things like that.
Do you think, for a lot of students, they may not realise the stress is creeping up on them? What would you say are the telltale signs?
I think one of the key ones is when somebody's noticing a change in themselves. So it might be that they are sleeping in a lot more, or they're not attending lectures, or they're eating more, or they're eating less, or they're drinking more, or they're smoking more. So it's any kind of habit that's sort of changing. Even exercise, if you stop exercising and you used to do that, then that's a sort of a symptom or a sign that maybe something is not quite right.
Yeah. And there's lots of support available both through the Students' Association and through our Student Support Office for students. But there's also a lot of information about resilience that is available to students.
Yeah, the university has an award-winning system on its website called the Toolkit. And the toolkit is made up of a whole series of animated videos and guides, and it's a really cracking resource. And there's actually a section that's been created for this week, which is called Health and Wellbeing. So if you go onto the abdn.ac.uk website, type in toolkit and type in health and well-being, you'll see a whole suite of resources that are relevant for this week and a lot of the things that are going on. But I think with all of these things, it's about finding out what there is that's out there. So I think probably my third aspect of well-being is about don't suffer in silence, ask for help. There are, as you allude to, lots of resources that are out there. The toolkit is an online resource, but you've got a lot of people to talk to as well. You had Jackie, who was the mental health advisor who was on earlier. You've got Mary Lee, who's coming up next. She's one of the chaplains. You've got a remarkable team of the student resident assistants as well. You've got the student advice and support office. You've of course got your personal tutors. There are people who are linked in. And Student for Students is I think, quite an underrated resource as well. So there are people who have been through things before and can help get you through things.
That's great.
So just to add that at the Student Association, we also have outside advice. So you can come if you have any.
Where is that?
It's at the Student Union building, ground floor. At the Student Union building. So if you've got any issue on accommodation, well-being, mental health, student funding, come speak with us, and we're going to advise you or signpost you to some of the relevant offices Ricky just mentioned. So back to my tips.
Your tips.
So I say make sleep part of your daily routine. Sleep. You have to sleep, rest, take a nap. 30 minutes, 1 hour is always good for your health. Exercise regularly. Now you can do what you call yoga, stretching.
Did you take part in yesterday's yoga sessions?
No, but hopefully I do it on my own at home. Yes. Take a trip on vacation if you can. If not, just go outside your house. Go to the Union Center, wherever you are. Just don't stay indoors throughout. Just make sure you go out. Then finally I say, go to YouTube. Learn how to cook. Learn how to bake. Yes. Try and bake something, cake, and it's fun. Get yourself involved in an activity apart from learning. Yes.
Absolutely. And at 11:45, just after our broadcast, of course, our award-winning chefs will be doing a cooking demonstration.
Wow.
And I've seen the recipes, and one of them is a rather delicious chocolate brownie.
Great.
So you should be around for that a little bit later on to have a sample. So we've talked a little bit about the support that's available. So if a student needed to access support, how would they go about that? Is there someone they can phone or access information online?
I think probably the best resource is the student support website, because that provides a range of different options, and it's working out what option might be most suitable for the individual. There are a number of us who can provide different support services, but it's really up to the individual to choose what suits them. So I think it's probably really working out on the website what the support services are and getting in touch. Most of them are by email or by phone, and all the contact details are on the website.
And in terms of OSA support, so we've talked about the Student Advice and Support Office in the building. Can students contact any of the sabbatical officers?
Oh yes, we are 5 very friendly and approachable guys.
And of course, you're elected by the students to support the students
of course.
and represent
Anytime,
them.
anywhere, you see any of us, stop us, speak with us, find out what support you can get from the university. And we are friendly, we will be nice, smile to you and support you all the time. Yes.
It's one of the lovely things about our university is the supportive community that we have, and as a member of staff I certainly find that as well, and hopefully our students do too.
Yes,
so.
As an international student from Ghana, I can tell you that this is a fantastic university with a lot of support and opportunities. And we offer an inclusive educational system that everybody will love to be part of.
Great. Good. Well, thanks so much for your time. Are you going to be spending some time going around the fair today?
Of course.
Yeah. Any stalls in particular that you're keen to visit?
I can see Aberdeen.
You can see, I think they're making smoothies on there.
Yes.
It's a generated
so it is called low carbon cooking.
Oh, okay.
Low carbon cooking. So they make smoothies from your own paddling of the bicycle.
Oh, fantastic.
So your own energy, then you consume it.
Fantastic, great. Well, thank you so much for your time and enjoy the fair, and we'll speak to you later. Thank you. Okay. So that was Alex and Rick. So they have hopefully given you a little bit of an insight into the support that is available to you regarding your mental health. While I'm waiting for our next guest, which is Mary Lee Anderson, the University Chaplain, and Lindsay, who is from our HR department, and her role in the university is around equality and diversity. I'll tell you a little bit more about what's happening this week. So the fair is happening today, as I said. Tomorrow, Aberdeen Sports Village will be opening its doors to students for free to go along and try any of the classes or the gyms. So that's a really wonderful opportunity to go and try out the world-class facilities that we have in the university. So I think taking care of your physical health is really important, and we'll be speaking to some colleagues from the Sports Village a little bit later on today. But now I'm joined by Mary Lee and Lindsay, who have joined us to talk a little bit about faith and diversity at the university. Firstly, Mary Lee, tell us a little bit about your role as chaplain at the university.
So as chaplain at the university, my role is very much to look after all the different faiths and spirituality on campus. We also obviously have like a chapel. If anybody's been to King's College Chapel, they'll see how beautiful it is. So we have services and stuff there, and a lot of what we do is pastoral care. So a lot of one-to-one kind of pastoral support for all students regardless of faith or belief. So that takes up a lot of my time.
Great. And Lindsay, in terms of equality and diversity, what's that all about at the university?
We're very proud to have a diverse population of both staff and students at the university, and it's really important to us to make sure that staff and students feel they've got a safe and tolerant work environment and study environment. So we work hard with senior members of staff at the university, looking at what our strategy for equality, diversity and inclusion should be.
Okay, great. Tell us a little bit about the multi-faith chaplaincy. You mentioned that you support many faiths, Mary Lee. So how does that?
Yeah, so we have a multi-faith chaplaincy which is based at 25 on the High Street, opposite New Kings and the Old Brewery. But we have lots of spaces available which lots of different societies book them out. Faith societies use them as well. We also have a quiet room which some people use for prayer, or people can use just for prayer and contemplation. And we also have free tea and coffee and biscuits, so people just come and hang out. Free tea and coffee. Don't tell too many people.
Don't tell them
that. But yeah, it's just space on campus. Sometimes people just need some place where they can just go and relax. So we think of ourselves very much as being that kind of oasis on campus, a bit of space just to retreat sometimes from that busyness and stress that campus life can be.
Yeah, and the chaplaincy, the multi-faith chaplaincy organises a number of events for students out and around campus. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
I guess the main one that we do kind of out and about that's not within the multi-faith chaplaincy itself is we go up on a Wednesday night to Hillhead and do donuts. So again, there's free tea and coffee
a lot
and
of this centres around food, isn't it?
yeah, and it's great. And actually what's really nice is at Hillhead there are so many different kind of cultures and faiths and people from so many different countries that it's really good. It's really good conversation. We learn so much about each other, and it's just a time just for a bit of community. So that's probably the main thing that we do out and about.
And that's quite an informal thing.
Very
and
informal.
Open to residents and non-residents?
Yeah, non-residents would be welcome as well. It tends to obviously be mostly residents because it's up in the community centre at Hillhead 7 till 9. But we would never turn anybody away. So residents would be, non-residents would be very welcome as well. That's good.
Lindsay, how can students and staff get involved in equality and diversity at the university?
I mean, there's lots of ways to do it. Obviously, events like this are really important where students can come and see, what's available to them at the university. I mean, there are a number of networks you can get involved with. So for staff and students, there's the LGBT networks, we've got disability networks. On the staff side, we also have a senior women network as well. So certainly, if it was something, if you had some ideas, something that we thought we could improve, please get involved with some of those networks. We will also had an inclusion week at the start of the year, and that was really excellent. There was opportunities for staff to do sessions on mindfulness. We also have a British Sign Language working group, so they ran some sessions on basic sign language that you could learn. A number of keynote speakers came, so certainly look out for events like this. And the Equality and Diversity website is really good if you want to go and find out about the networks. And we also have a really good Equality and Diversity calendar there that will tell you some of the events that we support and again how to get involved.
And is there student representation to inform the Equality and Diversity agenda?
The main university committee, that's the Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Strategy Committee, that has AUSA representation on it. There's also AUSA representation on the disability groups, and the students also have their own group as well, and also the LGBT will have an AUSA representative as well. So it's really important to us that the student voices help, and that really helps us develop policies, procedures and our strategy. Okay.
Marilee, there's a very important member of your team that you haven't really spoken about yet, and I was just wondering if you can tell us a little bit about the peace therapy dogs.
I was trying to work out where you were going. I was like, who is this? On a Tuesday and a Thursday we have a group called Peace, which is Pet and Companion. And they come in basically between 11 and 3, and we have what are called peace teams. So a peace volunteer will come with their dog. And at the moment, actually, we have 3 peace teams on campus. So we have a Thursday and a Tuesday. We have a peace team that come to the chaplaincy, but we also have on a Wednesday, Miranda and Spud go to Forster Hill campus as well. So we have them there. And they book, students can book, or staff can also book like a half-hour appointment, and really it's just pet therapy, but you have somebody to talk to as well as stroke the dog, and we really find that the students who have come and used that service benefit greatly from it. So you can pop into the multi-faith chaplaincy or email, and you can email at Forster Hill to get an appointment, or pop to just the desk to get an appointment. But it's really popular. We even have a dog who speaks, so it's good.
It speaks? Oh my goodness.
Kimmy speaks, so if you want to hear that, you have to come in on a Tuesday. But
Tuesday, well, we'll remember that.
So
Lindsay, what support's available to somebody if they are concerned about anything to do with equality and diversity?
We do have a lot of support here. I'm always a contact for somebody if they want to come get in touch with me and say what the issue is, and then I can certainly make sure I could field them out to the right person. From the student side, make sure they can access student support, they can go to their tutor, and some of the websites that are really good, one called Clued Up and another one called The White Wall. And certainly for The White Wall, it's about support for students who think they might have some mental health issues or just a bit concerned, and they can go and they can chat to people online. So make sure that they are aware of where they can access.
Yeah.
I was going to add, from a faith perspective, we also at the chaplaincy have a team of honorary chaplains who represent different faith groups across the city as well. So there's always kind of that advice and stuff to tap into too, which is helpful.
There's a new project that is, I know that you and Sophie are working on at the moment with the... Thank you. Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I think we're just very much at the beginnings of that, but City of Sanctuary is a movement, a national movement, whereby they look at ways in which cities can welcome refugees and asylum seekers.
Okay.
And a stream of that is Universities of Sanctuary. And so universities are identifying as these Universities of Sanctuaries, again, as a way of welcoming people who are refugees and asylum seekers. Just by doing things like scholarships, putting on events, obviously people who are from those groups that are extra difficulties in coming to study, with all different kinds of ways, financially, socially, all different ways. So we're just really at the grassroots of that and trying to look at how we can develop that at the moment.
That sounds great.
Yeah, and we're working with the Student Association and different student societies as well for that. So,
do you have a lot of student involvement in sort of the development of how the multi-faith chaplaincy is going forward?
We would love to have more.
Would you?
Yeah, we would love to have more. We obviously meet with, for example, the different faith societies presidents. We have an event coming up very soon where we work with them and we have our interfaith gathering. So we do events together. We do one in March normally called Around the World in Many Faiths. But yeah, we would love to have more. I mean, we have it informally because the place is always full of.
When is that Around the World in Many Faiths take place?
I think it's March the 14th, but I would have to confirm all of that. But yeah.
And can you tell us a little bit about the kirking? A little bit about it, because I think that's something, it's a really important part of the university that students maybe don't.
So the kirking of the Students Association and Interfaith Gathering is happening next Wednesday.
Okay.
On the 2nd of October. And traditionally, the kirking of the Students Association was a time when the sabbatical officers would go into church and be blessed for their work for the year ahead. But obviously now, the university community is much more diverse than it, traditionally that Christian aspect. So now what we do is very much an interfaith celebration. So different members from the different faith societies on campus come and contribute just a 2 to 3 minute presentation, and we tie it in with the theme of Scottish Interfaith Week. So this year it's Eat, Share, Love.
Eat.
Again. I know, it's a common theme. So yeah, Eat, Share, Love. And afterwards we always share a vegetarian curry, and so we celebrate the diversity of our students, but also the work that the Student Association do, and it's a way of the university also recognising that they contribute a lot to the university community, and a way of us thanking them for that they do as well.
So anybody can go along to that?
Everybody's very welcome. It's 5:15, next Wednesday, 2nd of October, in James Mackay Hall. So always between the Unicorn and the Lion in the quad. So
I'm guaranteed coffee and a...
You're guaranteed coffee, you're guaranteed a vegetarian curry actually on Wednesday, so that's good.
That's fantastic. Just before you go, just what do you think are the best things about working at the university? What do you love most about the university?
I mean, it's a very exciting place to work. We're just privileged even to have the campus that we have, to be able to wander around, see the students and the staff. The research that we do here is amazing, the teaching is amazing. I don't think I've ever had a quiet day here. There's always something new and exciting happening.
I would agree, and I think for me, I never know who or what's going to come through the front door, so I love every day is different. I just love meeting the different students and staff that I get to meet and working with them. So yeah, it's great.
Well, thank you so much both for your time today, and I hope you get some time to have a wander around the fair and see what's available for you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. So just while I'm waiting for my next guest, I'll tell you a little bit about one of the new campaigns that is being launched today. Supporting my little smug mug. These are available now to staff and students at the university, and that's part of our efforts around sustainability. And Callum will tell us a little bit more about that when he joins me on the sofa. We're very fortunate to have an array of food outlets on campus, and I'm going to be joined next by Callum McLachlan, who is Head of Commercial Services at the university. Callum looks after all of the catering outlets for us and is pioneering in his work on keeping us ahead of the trend. Just when we finish here at 11:45, as I mentioned, one of our chefs, Doug, who recently won an award, will be doing a demonstration for us on some plant-based cooking. And we'll hear a little bit more this afternoon in the podcast with Mark Donovan and Alex Johnson, just around the curve trend with plant-based cooking. But Callum, thanks so much for joining me on the sofa. Yeah, I was just starting to talk a little bit about the smug mug, but then I thought I shan't steal your thunder and let you perhaps tell us a little bit about what that's all about.
Sure. We're perhaps a little late in coming to the party, but we've jumped on the train just as it's pulling out of the station. Last year, we used over 283,000 paper cups whilst dispensing hot drinks around all our satellite units on campus. That's a lot of waste that's simply used once and thrown away. So we found a bit of money last year. We bought some cups. I see you've got one there.
Yes.
Rather splendid it's looking too. And today, tomorrow, and for the remainder of certainly this part of the academic year, we are giving every new student one of these fabulous cups. We're giving every new member of staff that joins the university family a new cup, and the rest of the university community has the opportunity of picking up one of these cups as well, with a view that by the end of the academic year, we will have made a great big dent in reducing the number of paper cups that we use.
That's fantastic.
There is a carrot and a stick approach here. The carrot approach that we've attempted over the years has been a discount when a staff, colleague or students presented a cup. We've given a discount at the point of sale, but that was moderately successful. So we're now going with the stick approach.
Okay.
Unless you present a cup, it's 35p on top of the selling price.
Well, that's quite a commonplace thing now, I think, across lots of food outlets across the city.
Sure.
So there's loads of food available for staff and students on campus. Can you tell us a little bit about the offering that is available?
Yeah, it's a tremendous offer. The vast majority is made from scratch, so we grind up the spices, we toast them, we make the paste, we butcher the meat, we dice the veg. So the vast majority of what we make available to the community is made on the premises. We're Mexican, we've Oriental food, we've Great British pub food, we've got a hugely popular, and we're one of the first institutions in Scotland to have a dedicated vegan and vegetarian food outlet, and the food there mirrors what's happening in London, the street food scene in London and Manchester. So you won't necessarily see a nut cutlet or mushroom stroganoff on the menu. It's edgy and it's delicious. Fresh coffee, fresh tea, fruit teas, snacks. We cover all the bases.
And you've spoken a little bit about the mugs and the efforts that you're putting in place to reduce paper cups, but what about the rest of the disposable cutlery and things that's available?
That's a really good question. And now the popular approach over the last few years has been that service providers have proudly said that they've swapped out plastic for paper or polystyrene for vegetable fibre single-use containers. So we've done that too, and I'll come back to a qualification statement in a moment. So we've done that too. We've largely removed single-use plastic from our operation. There are some instances where there are still some limited items that are required to be used. but we've got containers made from sugarcane fibre.
Oh, wow.
We've got plastic cups made from potato starch and cornstarch. But the issue is that not every local authority has the facilities or the ability to properly process the waste that those containers produce. Yeah. Now, we're lucky here in Aberdeen that we work with a very progressive food waste processor, and the majority of what we do produce is either composted or is put into an anaerobic digester, and is turned into fertiliser or gas that's then used to generate electricity.
So it sounds like there's a huge effort going on at the university already in the area of sustainability.
Before David Attenborough made it popular, we had replaced our plastic straws with paper straws some years ago.
Yeah.
We are guilty, however, of not blowing our own trumpet and telling the world or the community just what we do.
And I think there is an expectation from students and staff now that we are taking a sustainable approach to.
And that expectation is there. We are asked increasingly what we do. We need to be better in communicating what we do to the community because we already do a great deal.
Yeah, great. You touched a little bit on food waste. So with an institution as large as this, I'm sure it's quite difficult to predict how much to cook. How do you manage food waste?
Well, I suppose I'd like to think that we do have a crystal ball, but we use the data on service from previous weeks and previous years. At our main food service area up in the Student Union building, the food court, we will do 1,000 lunches a day during term time, and that's on like a 2.5 hour window, so there's a lot of food. Customers, whether it be students or staff colleagues, they don't want to wait too long for their food. So there is an element of bulk preparation. Again, this is fresh food that's been prepared within a few hours of service. So we will estimate what we think we'll sell or what we'll provide. And I'm quite happy if we run out of particular items, we'll then put on a substitute dish very quickly, but I'd much rather we run out rather than at the end of service scraping lots of food waste into the bin.
Absolutely.
Sadly, we can't do much with the food waste at the end of service or the food that's left over because of the way that the food is produced and held hot for service. We can't really give that away to charities or really to anybody to consume off the premises. So we, in the scheme of things, less than 1.5% of all the food that we produce is food waste at the end of service. Yeah. So we do well there, but there's still effort to be
something that's heavily managed by your team. So where would you go for where's your favourite place to eat on campus?
It's difficult to see past the offer at Mexican. It's spicy. Now, we have large sections of the community who ask and say they want healthy food and low salt and low sugar and low fat. Now, by no stretch of the imagination is the food prepared and offered at the Mexican outlets unhealthy, but it probably contains a bit more salt and sugar than it should. It's fried, but it's fried deliciousness, and the variety is first class.
Yeah.
The Oriental is a genuine reflection of what's available in the likes of Wagamamas in the high streets. We go out into the marketplace to see what is popular, what's trending, and we try and reflect that on campus.
Great. Well, thank you so much for your time, Callum. That's really interesting, and I am really looking forward to seeing Doug with his cooking demonstration, which is coming up just now. But thank you very much for joining us for this first broadcast. We'll be back at 1 o'clock. And I'll be joined by a number of other guests from the university to talk about different aspects of health and well-being. But if you are a student and you find yourself or a member of staff and you've got some time, please do pop along to Elphinstone Hall and come and see the array of exhibitors that are here to support you.